This series for MC Radio is all about mom leaders making it happen. Monday, we got acquainted with some phenomenal women. And yesterday, we specifically focused on the family dynamics. But today, we're going to get a little more personal and talk all about them. So, first question out of the gate, are you a goal setter? And what does setting goals look like to you now?
I would say I'm a good goal setter, but not a great goal setter. It is something I could probably do a bit more, but I would say very good at following a structure for goals, setting them forth. Probably high marks for making sure they're well communicated out to the teams and out to the organization. The other thing I personally found about myself is I can turn around things pretty quickly, and I imagine you guys are the same way. And so when you have developed that skill or built that muscle, you may wait a little bit to get things pulled together. But it generally always works out. And so I would just say we're very efficient, I guess, in that way. But there are times I think, had we started this 2 weeks sooner, this might have been easier. I do see some people with much longer 5-10 year plans. And for me, that's personal, very tough to work. I mean, look at what we've just been through, right?
I always had to have a goal, something to motivate me, something to get me up. And right now, yes, that has changed significantly, just in the fact of becoming a mom. What motivates me now is to be a good mother. And so little tiny goals that I set are like taking them outside to play. The 3-year-old now, I'm starting to do the homeschool preschool, setting goals with that. Like, okay, this week we're going to practice numbers to this number. So we set the whole week based on what we're going to be teaching. And of course, the little one, she tries to engage in that as much as possible, but she gets bored quite fast. So
I have a high bar that I set for myself. Sometimes I just think, just do it, just go do it. I mean, for example, Mara, one day you called me and we were chatting about the changes in the environment and the economy and some other things. And that one conversation really sparked a notion to get off my butt and do something and help others. Helping out a lot of the first responders and groups with the Navajo Nation during COVID and several of the schools. But just the collaboration and talking helps me set my goals and helps bring those into fruition.
I'm a goal setter. I think that in order to accomplish anything, you really have to write it down and you have to put it out there in the universe, or you have to say it. I don't know. I'm a pen and paper kind of gal, so I will write down goals day and night, and they always shift, right? Because depending on where you're at in your life, at each day, even if I'm working towards one goal that's financial and another goal that's towards being a mommy and another goal that's being a side hustle or something of that nature, I'm always trying to work on one of those goals and making movements to get to that next step. So
I think it's so fun that even though we have such diverse perspectives here on the phone, is that everyone is a goal setter, just looks a little different for each one of us. We all know that in the pandemic, we've had some harder things to adjust to. So can you talk about some of the challenging moments that you've had? And more importantly, what have you learned about yourself through those challenges?
My management style tends to be set high expectations and give people a longer lead, allowing them to operate as they would or in their best interest with the expectation that they're going to meet this bar. So I think, though, what this period has taught me is really having to check in a bit more frequently, keep the staff meeting weekly, keep those forecast calls each and every week. It just seems like the need to be connected. Now, we have to be mindful, though, not to over-index, right? So I know at one point we were tempted to do check-ins 2 and 3 times a week, and that may be too much. So for me, I think the challenge here has been finding that right tempo of allowing people to operate independently, but still making sure, that we're working towards that goal.
my baby hit the 4-month sleep regression right when I was about to come back, and she was waking up every hour, if not every 30 minutes. So that was extremely difficult to wake up the next morning and feel motivated and be ready to go and, be on my A game, if you will. Okay, how am I first of all going to get my child to sleep? Because that's super important for her growth and development. It's super important for my growth and development at work. So what am I going to do to fix this? And so Philip bought a sleep program. So it's been really great. I will say to all those mamas out there that are coming off of maternity leave, it may be really difficult at first and it may seem a little impossible. They've spit up on you. You're expected to be on video. All of these things are happening, but I promise you'll find your groove. Things will get easier. And if they don't, just don't turn on your camera.
I think that COVID taught me to be more empathetic with my employees. I've always been, great to talk to. We have an open door on our team, and it made me realize like different people have different levels that they're going through. Somebody's spouse could be laid off, someone's wife is pregnant. COVID brought on a lot of different scenarios, but it also brought out a lot of great things too. We were having some collaboration talks with my team. She was dealing with a lot of stress with her family, and we were talking about it. And instead of dealing with the negative stuff, we came up with family goals, and they executed on those goals. It was pretty neat. You just really have to keep a positive outlook and words of encouragement and empathetic. Like if they can't be there for some reason because the internet goes down because their children have to be on class, you just have to go with it. You say, hey, this is not personal. Do what you got to do and adjust. And I had to go through that too when they were doing virtual online. I had to realize that, it's okay not to be perfect. We're trying to work through a pandemic. We're not working from home. We're kind of actually just trying to get through this together.
I even love that self-reflection of, hey, your leadership style before could have been one way, but now, the pandemic and this virtual aspect has maybe created a completely different leadership style in you. For me personally, I just think about like my son and him going to school, and I've had to really honestly just take my hands off the wheel and say, you know what, I'm normally not with him. He can handle school. He's a champ. And not stress myself so much to be like the teacher in the house. All right, so this is one of my favorites. Has this shutdown revealed other passions or talents that you may have?
I love architecture and I love design. And so we've taken on a few projects which have been most interesting. My husband's got some background in general contracting. So it has also given us an opportunity to align on a common project. And for those of you who've been married for many years, you can possibly relate to this. We're probably best when we have a common project. So I'm taking on a little bit of that just for, I call it just therapy, just some good mental therapy. Also, you may know this, that there is a significant link between key shows around design and even cooking, they say, and creativity. They say there's a well-known link in the two. For those who tend to watch those shows or participate. So I'm hoping that it's helping with the creative juices as well, because the days are long, right?
Well, making bread was kind of unique. I actually pulled out a couple of my grandmother's old recipes. I was making a lot of food, like more traditional Hispanic foods that, was something that my family made, and we were eating a lot of chili at the beginning. So it was actually really neat. We were doing food drives in the neighborhood. I would have all the neighborhood people come out and leave their food out on the porch, and then my kids would drive around the neighborhood and load it up.
Sewing has always been part of my life in the sense that my grandmother taught me how to sew, and she taught me how to quilt and things like that. But I kind of like shelved that and went on to college and professional life and all that. And I remember taking out my sewing machine and I thought, oh my God, I'm so good. I could hem my own pants. Woohoo! No. Now it's on another level. Like, oh, so if I could sew fancy, fashionable masks, well, maybe I could do the girls' clothes and the costumes. And so I'm starting to find it very relaxing, and I'm showing the girls too. They love it.
Thank you, ladies, so much. Yet again, another day of incredible examples of strength and resilience through this time, and a little bit of creativity as well. I think one thing that's interesting about women is we do have a hard time bragging about ourselves or really even taking ourselves into consideration at times. So it's awesome to spend time with you today. So that's halfway through our series. Tune in tomorrow.